Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Caleb. I've been working on ePBS implementation in the Nimbus consensus clients. So coming into EPF, the motivation for me initially was choosing a project that touched on almost every major part of the consensus client because I wanted to have a deeper understanding of the protocol in itself. So I decided to choose EIP-7732, enshrined proposal builder separation. Um, it was proposed to be implemented in Nimbus, Prysm initially, but there was need for client diversity and to have it implemented in multiple clients. So, so basically, what the EIP does is basically separating the Ethereum block into a consensus and execution, into the consensus and execution parts, basically. So, and it has a mechanism for the proposer to be able to choose a builder on chain or on protocol, which is currently done off protocol. So it fundamentally changes the way a block is validated by decoupling the execution validation from the consensus validation. So currently, Beacon block proposers, they request a hash tree root from a third-party builder via a relay. They submit a signed blinded Beacon block to that trusted relay. The relay is responsible for replacing that hash tree root with the full execution payload submitted by the builder, basically. The relay is responsible for like selecting the best bid from the builder and carrying out the transaction, basically. So this project was about solving this trust issue, basically, because so we are trying to like enshrine this. Currently, PBS exists, but outside of the protocol. So it's just basically trying to enshrine it in the protocol, exactly. So it helps to guarantee two major things, right? A proposal payment safety, and a builder payload safety. So it just goes to say, if an honest builder submits, a payload and like commits to a particular beacon block, it should always get paid, or he or she should always get paid. And the builder payload safety just basically means if he publishes a payload, then that block should become canonical. So core changes, and basically our approach was basically just, it's a research work that has been in the pipeline for a long while. So what we just did was basically, what I did basically was like implementing it based on the spec that had already been written, right? So the major changes were like, in the execution layer, there was no changes required. So basically it keeps the execution people happy. Then we just had to like make sure almost all the implementation had to be done on the consensus layer, which was like the two major parts was the beacon chain and the fork choice logic. The fork choice logic is, I don't know, it's quite complex really, but quite complex because currently that's the point we are at, and there's a new so that's what we are implementing next, basically.
Um, all right, I'm gonna expand on that a bit. Basically, fork choice. When we started the project, we had basically two designs. One is like block auction and slot auction. By the end of the project, whatever like whatever was built was basically replaced by a new design. Thanks to Francesco. Uh, but yeah, I'm gonna explain like what we did during the cohort and like what was the design that we are working on. Yeah, so basically this what ePBS does is separate the consensus and execution validation of the block, which means that right now the Ethereum block has only like 2 seconds to do like everything, like validate DA or produce the KCG proofs. What this will do is like separate the consensus block from the execution block. For the first 3 seconds, like proposers or validators can validate the consensus block, and the execution validation can be deferred to like uh, the next 3 seconds of like next lot of the first 3 seconds of the next lot. So basically you will get like 12 to 15 seconds to validate DA instead of 1 or 2, and then also there will be like more time to produce KCG proofs. Since like consensus block no longer carries execution, this also results in faster propagation, like faster network propagation and verification of that. And yeah, this also ensures that consensus liveness no longer depends on the execution results or the finality of the execution block. One last point here is like any builder can set the floor for the auction through P2P market space. This like remains unchanged. Like this is what happens right now, except this is done like on a off protocol relay network. Yeah, so basically this is what an ePBS slot looks like. Yeah, so it is divided in basically 4 intervals. The first three second is when honest validators would gather signed bits or like the signed execution payload header from builders, and then submit their consensus block, or we call it signed beacon block with these bits. For the second part, it remains unchanged as it is right now. Honest validators would submit their attestations, what is like happening right now as well. For the third interval, the aggregators would aggregate these attestations, and the builder broadcast their either the full payload or a message indicating that whether they are withholding the payload or yeah, I think basically that's it. For the fourth interval, some validators are selected to form a new payload timeliness committee. And which kind of attests to the presence and timeliness of the builder's payload. Okay. Yeah. So this is like what. Okay. Yeah. So at any given slot, the blockchain's head can be like a block. From a previous slot if the current slot's proposer did not submit a block. So in this case, all the validators would attach to the parent block, and then like the slot would go like without a block. In the second case, it would be an empty block if proposer does not submit any block in the current slot, but the builder if the proposer submits a block in the current slot and the builder did not reveal any payload on time. And in the third case, it would be like a full block when both proposer and builder would reveal the block on time. Yeah, so this was the initial fork choice rule that we are like basing our implementation on. This is called block auction design, which contained like new payload and withheld boost. So basically this is what our mentors like tested like just 2 days before the DevCon. I think, yeah, it's on 7th. Yeah. So this assumes that the block the block propagated here assumes that it is tested on local interop, and meaning like that a proposer and builder are the same entities. We haven't like yet tested I think on the P2P side of things yet. But yeah, for the future work, implement the new fork choice design. If you have time, I can like expand on that a bit more. But yeah, and then like hope that more clients join our more clients join and like start the implementation for ePBS. I think Teku has already started it, and Caleb and I am like working on Nimbus, and I think Portus and Terrence have been like working relentlessly on the Prysm side of things. And then like update the fork choose consensus spec according to the new design, do the spec test, and like at last do the DevNet testing. I don't know if do we have time. Yeah, I think. Yeah, this is the new this is what a slot would look like in a new fork choice design. This was proposed by Francesco in the last ePBS breakout room. This basically combines ePBS, Fossil and DS into a unified fork choice framework. And like it will support all three of this, or like all in one fork choice, which will work for all of them. So it basically uses availability committee. So the payload timeliness committee is like renamed to the availability committee here, and like now it doesn't only just votes on the timeliness of the block, but also votes on the payload and the block availability. Yeah, while also enforcing the inclusion list through deadlines. So if you see, I think it's at the 10th second. If so, there's like a deadline for freezing of including the ILs. On that's what basically IL committee kind of ensures. Not to go more on deep on the fossil side of things, but if we include fossil, it also touches the execution side of things. Yeah, and finally, a special thanks to all the mentors, Portus, Terence, and Tersek, and the excellent EF researchers who came up with a new simple design, Barnaby and Francesco, and Mario and Josh for organizing this EPF. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for the nice. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for the kind words. So before we wrap it up, do we have any questions, comments for Caleb and Kira? There was a ton of stuff, a lot of work done on both implementations. I think it's incredible, guys. And if you have any thoughts about it, any comments, any questions, feel free to raise your hand. And yeah, okay. Otherwise, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Yeah. If there is anything, I mean, we will be hanging around. Like, feel free to reach us out. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, with this presentation, yeah, let's give it up again once again for Kira and Caleb. Thank you so much, guys. Incredible work. And yeah, this right now we are finishing the morning block of